tomb has been out for a while, and now that the dust has settled, it's time to answer the question: is the tomb as bad as it was made out to be? To start, we'll look at the perk that was reintroduced with the map, Death Perception. What does it do in Black Ops 6? It outlines enemies you can't fully see. Yeah, that's all it does without augments, the exact same thing that can be done with a single accessibility setting. The perk machine does look really cool, but it's not new content from the tomb because Death Perception was in Cold War Zombies. The augments for the perk aren't much better. Starting with the minor augments, Bird's Eye View increases the minimap scan rate, a must have for all 3 people who still have the minimap turned on. The next augment, Extra Change, allows you to get spare change that you get from proning in front of perk machines at other interactables like the Arsenal machine, Pack-a-Punch, ammo crates and workbenches. Again, not very good, as by the time you buy Death Perception you'll need to have spent a few extra thousand on it because you actually got good perks first. The few hundred extra points you get are cool, but not anything special. The last minor augment, Further Insight, increases the range you get the outline on obscured zombies. Again, useless considering you can just turn on high contrast mode and it does the exact same thing, just better. Moving on to the major augments, Treasure Hunter is just a shittier version of Vault Trade, granting you extra items from elites and loot containers. It seems the dig sites and ether crystals count as the so-called loot containers. You can get some good items, even guns, but it's so rare that I've yet to see it, and you most likely already have your main weapon from just spawning in. The extra chance of getting armor, ammo and equipment isn't really worth it because the rates without it are already good enough to not facilitate buying anything at a workshop mid-round. The next major augment, Death Stare, gives a chance to kill an enemy at low health with your elemental damage. Not really helpful considering the enemy is already on low health and this saves maybe 5 bullets tops. And during Season 2 Reloaded they buffed Death Stare to be able to activate at 20% of special enemies max health, which does make it a little bit better. The last major augment, Critical Eye, gives you a small chance for a body shot to become a headshot. This would be decent if it activated more often, but as it stands, even though it's kinda ass, it's still the best augment for Death Perception. Looking at Death Perception, it is neither an original perk, nor does it provide any actually worthwhile benefits aside from use in a side quest on the tomb, which we will get onto later, so not off to a good start. Moving on to arguably one of the most important parts of a zombies map, the atmosphere. You start off in an abandoned dig site above ground, the Dark Ether coming into the real world with crystals showing up throughout the map, with half-boxed artifacts everywhere, scaffolding and supports all around, with a fair amount of blood everywhere, serving as a morbid reminder of those who came before us, both Project Janus and Sir Archibald's group. At the back of the dig site we come across giant stone doors which, after spending an insane amount of money for a first door, opens, leading us into the tomb. Moving into the tomb we see the clash of ancient cave drawings, monuments and architecture with the now outdated excavation gear used by Sir Archibald and the modern Project Janus gear. Here we are introduced to 2 new trap types, the respawning and free to use ether lanterns, which function as a more powerful Molotov that spawn in set locations needing to be shot to activate, and also acting as a light to uncover the secrets of the tomb. The arrow traps are a more conventional trap where you pay 1500 points to start shooting arrows from the walls across a specific passageway, destroying all zombies and damaging elites that pass through. At the bottom of the area you come across a clear view of the massive cavern with an electrified waterfall within the cave system, which is just cool as fuck. In this cavern there is a blocked off doorway with a crystal facing it. Placing the amulet the crew acquired in Citadel on this crystal will shoot a beam, opening the door to nowhere. Entering this newly opened door takes you directly to the next area, the Dark Ether Nexus. You will find all new forms of Dark Ether life, such as the mushrooms, which grow as rounds pass, granting many different rewards to the player for opening them in different ways. Looking up we can see the true beauty of the Dark Ether with the gorgeous skybox, floating debris and Ethereum. Here we can also find the initial Pack-a-Punch location, which will now move between the dig site and the Nexus. Exploring further you will find the legendary Sentinel artifact across the void with no path in sight. Upon entering the Nexus, 3 more doors will open, allowing the player to quickly and easily access the 3 corners of the tomb as well as the dig site. Another crucial part of the atmosphere is the enemies encountered within the map. We have many ancient wizard style zombies, zombies with ancient animal skulls as helmets, and some very decayed, almost skeleton zombies, as well as armoured zombies being Crusader Knights who became zombies. For special enemies we have the Vermin, Parasite, Doppelgas and Amalgam returning, with the Mimic from Cold War returning with a shocking twist. The Mimic will now distort your screen when nearby, and upon upon grabbing you it will shock you, reducing your abilities to fight back. Overall the map has an excellent atmosphere, always staying consistent to the surrounding areas and flowing well from one to another. There are slight problems with the skybox in the Nexus looking flat from some angles, and the shock mimics being another grapple enemy despite the overall dislike for grapple enemies. A complaint carrying on from Citadel is that the amalgams don't really fit with the map, considering it was initially shown that they were made at Terminus, so it doesn't really make sense for them to be here as well. The zombie designs are some of the best that we have ever seen, with the designs having a logical reason to be there as well as looking cool as fuck. A cornerstone of any good zombies map is the wonder weapon. The tomb reuses the ice staff originally from Origins. By utilising the ether lanterns, Roman numerals can be revealed on the ancient architecture that when shot in order put the players into a lockdown where they are given a piece of the ice staff for surviving. Once the player has both pieces, they can build the ice staff, but not by using a workbench or a staff holder like in Origins, but by interacting with the altar in the middle of the Nexus. This places you into another lockdown where you need to defend the staff from bugs, vermin and zombies while the pieces are combined using magic. Once the pieces are combined, you now have access to the ice staff, or you can just get it from the box, which doesn't really make sense lore wise considering there's only meant to be one. Similar to Origins, the base staff only has one attack, being the regular shot. To upgrade the staff you need to shoot 3 ether lanterns with the ice staff within 10 seconds, which spawns symbols on rocks in the dark ether. Shooting these symbols with the ice staff brings them closer so you can see them, also closing one of the doors to the Nexus. You then need to shoot these symbols on the door that closed on the tomb side and then go through. This teleports you onto one of the floating rocks in the dark ether. After interacting with the orb that is on the rock, you'll be put into another defense step, but this time you need to follow the orb as it moves around. After defending the orb, it will go into the altar that we used to build the ice staff, and then you just need to interact with it, and that is you upgraded the staff. Like the Origins counterpart, the upgrade gains a charge shot and the alternate fire insta-revive. The ice staff is decently powerful and a good counter to the grapple enemies by slowing them and preventing some grapple attacks. However, there is no way to stop being grappled once you're grabbed, unlike in Citadel where you could parry with the swords. The ice staff does fit the theme of an ancient tomb very well, as the staffs are some of the oldest known weapons. However, that leaves the questions. Where are the other staffs? The problem with the staff is that to get it and upgrade it, you need to do so many lockdowns, which after a few games just becomes boring and tedious. The initial defense step for crafting the ice staff has way too many parasites to be fair. If you mess up inputting the codes during the upgrade, you'll fall to your death unless you have stamina up with the augment that prevents fall damage. A more nitpicky complaint is there is no clear indication of when the staff is fully charged, unlike the Origins version. The weapon is cool, fits the map, and looks really cool, but getting and upgrading the staff isn't great. Another massive part of a map's success is both the Easter eggs and the initial hunt for them. To start, we'll look at the main Easter egg. The hunt for the Easter egg was fully complete within about 4 hours, whether due to data leaks as some people accused others of using, or just because the Easter egg is simple. All it entails is getting the upgraded staff, then doing 4 short trials with each one being based on a different enemy in the evolution chain, so the vermin, then parasite, then doppelgast, then amalgam. These trials are nothing more than killing the enemies and maybe doing something slightly extra, but none are particularly unique. After this you're into the boss fight. The boss fight has a small quirk where it takes absolutely 0 damage from explosive weapons, ray gun or the ice staff. This is a massive problem because there is 0 indication that the boss is immune to these, so if like myself you went into the boss fight with the GS45s and ice staff, you can deal no damage to the boss, which if you're in solo you can fix by saving and quitting out of the boss fight and getting a new weapon. And on co-op you might need to restart if your team is not able to deal enough damage to move between the phases, and you can't save and quit to get new weapons. This is a massive flaw in Easter egg that ruined many runs at the start for no reason and is overall just shitty game design. The boss itself is also quite disappointing, with it being survive then shoot the tanky sentinel artifact, with the added bonus of enemies that can one-shot you in the later phases. If you're struggling with the boss fight, I have a guide that should help with that, which will be in the card as well as in the description. The boss is an unfair mess with dogshit artificial difficulty that makes it boring to play and is a complete clusterfuck if you go in blind, which should never be the case. After this grueling boss fight, we're given the outro cutscene, which we will discuss later. Moving on to side Easter eggs, we have the usual free perk, points, power up and ether tool. The tomb also has quite a few unique side Easter eggs. We have the free ray gun Easter egg, which requires getting the new perk Death Perception and digging the dig sites until you get 3 green stones, and upon placing them onto a statue in the tomb, it spawns multiple green doppelgasts. Once you've killed these, you get the ray gun as well as a bunch of extra points. This is an excellent side Easter egg as it rewards the player for using the new perk. There's also a free pack punch and cryo freeze upgrade available for shooting all of the moving rocks in the Nexus and stopping them at the same time, which helps to offset the cost of the incredibly expensive doors. The free Cryo Freeze also leads to the free Ether tool, as you need to shoot the Dark Ether waterfalls with Cryo Freeze. These are great side Easter eggs as they reward the player well and tie into each other. There are also quests to get other ammo mods and other goodies for free, which is good for getting set up earlier. The Dark Ether mushroom pods can gift you salvage if you just shoot them, or potentially weapons if you melee them, then kill the parasites inside, which allows you to choose your reward, which is a really nice touch. The biggest and best side Easter egg is the golden armor plates, which are a returning feature from Modern Warfare Zombies, which make your armor plates regenerate similarly to your health. Surprisingly, the Easter egg is quite simple to do, but also really hard at the same time. You just need to get the 2 statue heads from the Dark Ether and place these on the statues that spawn, then interact with one of the statues to enter the blood sacrifice. This sets you to 1 health and all damage goes through your armor, similar to Frenzied Guard. Even though Treyarch have tried to patch using score streaks during this, it is still possible as of the making of this video. During each blood sacrifice, depending on which statue you interact with, it will spawn a number of HVT mimics or doppelgasts, which have an insane amount of health. If you manage to complete 1 blood sacrifice by killing all the HVTs without leaving spawn or going down, you now need to do the other statue's blood sacrifice. Completing this challenging encounter rewards all players with the golden armor plates. This is a perfect example of how side Easter eggs should be scaled, as the risk versus reward is perfectly balanced, as you're getting one of the strongest items in the game, but you need to go through 2 incredibly tough battles. Overall, the main Easter egg quest was quite disappointing, both in how simple it is, how quick it was solved, and how bullshit and unfair the boss is. However, the side Easter eggs are amazing, really fun and useful, so Easter eggs as a whole are just okay. Looking now at gameplay, the map flows excellently with the teleporters in the Dark Ether linking all parts of the map, allowing for quick and easy travel. 2 complaints about the teleporters are there's a cooldown between using them, and you need to hold the interaction button to teleport rather than just walking into the portal like in, for example, Revelations. The map layer also works very well with the ice staff, making most areas aside from corridors viable to train in even late game. The wall weapon selection on the map is quite limited with only 6 wall buy weapons. Even with the map's smaller size, this is still quite a low number. The special enemy situation on this map is absolutely dire. There are 2 enemies with grapples which can one-shot you without armor, or let the zombies kill you while you're immobilized in a grapple that once it hits has no way out. The vermin are this map's max ammo round, which is nothing special. The combination of so many special enemies is very reminiscent of the Beast from Beyond, where they said fuck it and just added every single special enemy to the map. The tomb is not as bad as there aren't too many specials, but it is still far from good. Another problem with mimics that is more noticeable late game is due to the insane amount of elites that spawn, which is an issue for all Black Ops 6 maps. The entire map becomes covered in mimicked objects, and you will always have some of the distortion on your screen unless you want to deal with even more mimics every round. The ice staff is a very good wonder weapon for high rounds and can be used instead of the meta of just spamming mutant injections and score streaks. Granted, it is slightly harder, but paired with Vulture Raid, it's almost impossible to run out of ice staff ammo. The Vulture Raid perk machine is sorely missing on the tomb, because it's such a good perk, especially early on, as it allows you to get set up much earlier, but due to it being locked to the Wonder Fizz or the random perk side quest, it's not great. Given that is a problem with the other Black Ops 6 maps, but at least they had guaranteed methods to get all of the perks that were available on those maps when it came out before the Wonder Fizz spawned in, by using the perk machines and side quests for specific perks. The map also does feature a number of bugs, which given they are being patched, hopefully, won't go towards the gameplay of this map, but it will certainly leave a bad impression of the map to some players, similar to the greatest map ever, Setsubo no Shima. Overall, the gameplay is slightly above mediocre, but that's a combination of both the map's features and some of the janky BO6 features, like bullet weapons being useless after round 40, which also affect the other maps. However, the map gets a massive boost for being able to play high rounds without the need for spamming specialists, making this map's gameplay pretty damn good. Moving on to the next, and for some people the most important part of a map, the story. The start of any map is the intro cutscene. Wait a minute, that's right, the Tomb doesn't have an intro cutscene. After the Nothing Burger outro cutscene in Citadel, we're thrown right into the excavation site. Now, surely we're going to get some character lines acknowledging Citadel with the radio crew, right? Nope, the second you get into the tomb, all comms aside from exfil messages are completely cut off unless you sit at the dig site. Even in the dig site, the lines are still few and far between, and I've yet to get any quotes from Peck, The crew must have just left his ass back in Citadel because he wouldn't stop crying about the damn warheads. The radios on the tomb contain some pretty important information, including name dropping Scarlet Rhodes and Stanton Shaw, the GOAT, from Chaos. The story of the map follows the main crew exploring the excavation site to find the Sentinel artifact, with some help from a Dark Ether echo of one of the earlier explorers of the tomb within the amulet we got at Citadel. After fighting through the tomb and opening the door to nowhere, we find the Sentinel artifact out of reach. After completing the 4 trials, we are now given access to the artifact but are unable to claim it. After fighting the artifact itself, we can claim the artifact and are given the cutscene. What is this cutscene, you might ask? Something from Chaos becoming more relevant, Richtofen finally interacting with the crew? Nope, it's just a lore dump from the Sam AI with not a single word given to any of the crew or radio operators, just Sam explaining how we need to go to the mansion at Liberty Falls and showing the players but not the crew that she is most likely evil with both what she says and the graphics that are shown. The limited interactions of all characters, the lack of proper intro cutscene, and the outro cutscene only being Sam is very disappointing, but it makes sense if you're aware of the current voice actor strike. Members of the cast have been replaced in games such as Zeke Alton, who voiced Peck in Cold War and the Terminus cutscene, and Julie Nathanson, who's voiced Samantha Maxis from when she was introduced in World at War. Given the strike and the fact that Sam's new voice actress is available to create new voice lines, it makes sense why they would choose this as the outro cutscene. That being said, just because there is an explanation, it does not excuse the lack of voice lines from a majority of the characters, because Activision refused to give AI protections in their job contract because they are cunts. Overall, the story definitely moves forward, but a lot of growth with the characters is throttled by the lack of voice lines, which were presumably recorded before the strike or by scabs. A lot of the storytelling is done through radios on the map, which makes sense for certain things like Alistair Rhodes' radios and the Sam and Richtofen recordings, but there needs to be more than just that. Overall, they could have done a lot more with the story, but it was throttled by the strikes due to companies being greedy, which does unfortunately hurt the end product. The radios are a nice addition to confirm things, but should not be the main mode of storytelling. After looking at everything to do with the map, I can personally say the Tomb is a pretty decent map. The questionable Easter egg, multiple grapple enemies and story bring it down, however the good high rounds, amazing aesthetics, ambience and atmosphere, and really cool, well thought out and rewarding side Easter eggs really carry this map and make it an overall pretty fun experience. This is just my opinion, and I'm interested to see what you think about the Tomb, especially after this video, and whether it changed any of your views on the Tomb, so let me know in the comments. This is it for this video, so if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as that helps the channel and shows me that people like this kind of content. I'm hopefully going to bring back Would You Rather Zombies edition, so if you want to see that, make sure to leave your Zombies Would You Rather questions in the comments below, as well as any other video suggestions you might have. Thank you for watching, and I'll see everyone in the next one.